Let's head to Rome, Italy, where WION's principal diplomatic correspondent Sidhant Sibal is standing by live. Sidhant Sibal, the second day of the G20 summit, what do we expect?
Well, the second day and the last day of the G20 summit here in Rome, Italy, a decisive day in terms of hardball diplomacy and formation of consensus on two crucial issues. That's the COVID crisis and climate change. I'm standing at the Trevi Fountain. This was the occasion of that informal meeting, in a sense, where the leaders came. There was, of course, only a photo op. But the leaders, of course, threw coins in the fountain, as we all know by now, that if you throw a coin in the fountain, you're bound to come back to Rome. But after this informal meeting and visuals that will remain for a pretty long time, the focus will be on making sure that the divide, especially when it comes to climate change, can be bridged amongst the developed and developing countries. The G20 meeting, the 16th G20 summit that is taking place here in Rome, is significant for one reason, that the leaders are meeting for the first time. So many leaders are meeting for the first time amidst COVID pandemic. That shows a sense of normalcy that the world is achieving, and it is needed as well, but also in terms of making sure that there can be a joint fight against COVID crisis. Last year, we know that the summit happened virtually for the first time since the grouping's formation in 2008, and at the request of the Indian Prime Minister, the Saudi Arabia, the host, had held two important emergency meetings on COVID crisis, and decisive actions were indeed taken. Now, of course, this time the focus will be on the vaccination drive, on the focus being vaccinating large portion of the Earth's population. We know that according to reports that the draft of the G20 suggests that almost 70% of the world's population should be vaccinated by the end of next year. And the Indian Prime Minister, of course, yesterday during his intervention at the session at G20 talked about how India can produce vaccines, millions and millions of vaccines by end of next year. India, of course, is known as a pharma capital of the world, whether it's this year when India provided vaccines to almost 95 countries. It was, of course, suspended amidst the second wave of deadly COVID crisis in India, but again has been restarted. The vaccines have been sent to countries like Iran, to Nepal, Bangladesh. So focus will be also on making sure that how India can contribute to this global effort to vaccinate more and more people.
Sidhant, before you came live, Mario Draghi was addressing the second session of the G20 summit, and he issued a challenge to the COP26 summit that they need to start a permanent campaign against climate crisis facing the world. This coming from world leaders. Do you think it will be taken lightly?
Well, when it comes to the issue of climate change, there is a sense of worry over the world not able to come up with a common stance. We know that yesterday, in fact, the Indian Foreign Secretary Shringla, who was doing his briefing, this question was asked by WION over the divide on climate change, and he said that India does not see it as a divide, but also sees is the opportunity at this forum, an opportunity for the countries to come together and bridge the divide. Basically, India, of course, has been taking a lead role. We have been talking about it in terms of renewables, in terms of using technology for clean energy, and moving away from fossil fuels to renewable energy. In fact, one thing that has been a cause of divide is the use of coal. The developed world wants the developing countries like India and China to phase out coal, which is difficult essentially right now, given they are rapidly growing economies and they want to lift more and more people out of poverty. So there are these intricacies for the larger climate divide, but essentially everyone in the room, in that G20 room here in Italy, understands that this is a major issue, and if there is no solution fast, then we can see devastating effects which we can see already being felt in India, whether it's here in Italy.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to meet Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez. What should we expect from that meeting?
Well, there are two major bilaterals and policides these meetings of the Indian Prime Minister. One, of course, with the Spanish leadership. Spain, of course, India and Spain have good relationship. There have been a lot of engagements in the past. But focus, of course, perhaps it might hog the limelight as well today, is the meeting between the Indian Prime Minister and the German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Now, Angela Merkel is all set to leave her chancellorship. Of course, there has been a change of guard. Elections have happened. But of course, she has been seen as the most charismatic leader of Europe for years now, the face of Europe, someone who led Europe in various conversations on critical issues, especially when it comes to migration. And this will be essentially a parting meet between the two leaders who had good relationship. We have in fact all seen in last 24 hours, in fact 48 hours, how Angela Merkel and Prime Minister Modi have been informally chatting during those occasions, whether it's that a convention center where the G20 leaders are meeting, or whether it's here at the Trevi Fountain where I am standing, where both the leaders had some kind of exchanges which we all saw. So this meeting is something that everyone is looking forward to, especially the Indian side, and we can expect at least a good amount of outcome in terms of what the Indian Prime Minister said later when the Indian side will be doing its briefing.
We will definitely wait for that meeting. Sidhan Sibal, live from Rome, Italy. Thank you very much.